Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the final debate for the senior teams here in the coastal region, and the motion of the day reads, developed countries' influence on Africa's policy making is a great deterrent to African sustainable development. I read the motion again. Developed countries' influence on Africa's policy making is a great deterrent to Africans' sustainable development. Proposing and opposing this motion is WAA Boys High School versus MATUGA Girls High School. All the best to both teams. Team proposition, first speaker, you have 3 minutes.
Honorable members of the House, good afternoon. It's still lunchtime. Do you know what I'm about to serve them? The truth sandwich from WAA Boys High School prepared by our matron, Madam Leonida. The developed countries' influence on Africa's policy making is a great deterrent to African sustainable development. To Jefferson, all men are equal, but it clearly shows that it is not among us. It is clear that the black race did not feature anywhere in this conception. But before we come to actual argumentation, let me first define some of the important keys in this motion and see what is the outcome of this debate actually is. Ladies and gentlemen, what do we understand by the term developed countries? Is a country's complex economic system. Influence having an effect on particular situation. Policy making, the process in developing plans. Great, major, deterrent, something that makes or something that hinders. To Jefferson, all men are equal. It is clear that the black race did not feature anywhere in this conception. Neocolonialism is the main reason that African is continuing poverty. British is specifically intended to ensure Kenya's economic was grow to the point where she loses her influence, and still less that her stability and pro-Western alignment be threatened. UK diplomats are conscious that they have large interests commercial in Kenya. Also, they know that they have large people containing 24,000, many of whom were former settlers who remained after independence. Although the land was transferred from Europeans to Africans, past colonialism, Kenya's most fertile region remained under British commercial control. It's okay that in Africa we are the largest countries which we are exporting tea, coffee, but do we enjoy this? Because the tea and coffee which we are exporting to the European Unions, it's true that Kenyans we are earning 40% in European Union sales, but do we enjoy this? Because the tea and the coffee is rebranded and sold back to us as rose tea, mango tea, and they're coming here telling us that, can I have a cup of tea, please? A cup of coffee? According to my second causes label of argument is that the confusion of the developed countries. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Before I came here, I smoked bang because of relaxation purposes. But while I was sitting there, I remember the incident of Jesus changed water into wine, and through hallucination, I changed these girls into mine. So, ladies and gentlemen, marijuana is a dangerous plant to legalize. But look at Germany, what did to Ugandans. They convinced Uganda to legalize marijuana. So, ladies and gentlemen, the influence from the developed countries is a deterrent to African sustainable development. Also in 1980, students in both Kenyatta and University of Nairobi were either jailed or detained without trial for resisting the violation of their academic freedoms. Thank you very much.
First speaker, team opposition, you have 3 minutes.
Hello everyone, in front of you is Lina Muli from MATUGA Girls, who is here to strongly oppose the motion that developed countries' influence in Africa policy is making a great deterrent to African suitable development. Let's begin with what is develop. Develop is to grow or cause growth and become more advanced. What are developed countries? Developed countries are a country that has mature and sophisticated economy. Let's go to policy. What is policy? A set of ideas or plans used as a basic for making decisions. And what is deterrent? A thing that is intended to discourage someone from doing something. On to my first point. Based on health healthcare, developed countries often provide aid and support during times of crisis, such as natural disasters or diseases outbreaks. This assistance can save lives, alliterate suffering, and contribute to long-term development. Let's take, for instance, this during the corona season. If it was not for the US, where would we be right now? Would we get the vaccine for the virus? No, we would have lost many lives. Where did we get the masks from? The masks came from US for the first time before we Kenyans could invent the masks. So if it were not for them, we would be in a very, very bad condition. Let's take, for instance, the other day here at Ferry, when this car sank in the water, we had to import people from Israel to come and get that car out of the water. If it were not for that people, where would that car be? It would still be inside the water. Where would those bodies be? They will still be inside the water. So we still need these people. We need this we need these developed countries to help us. In Kenya, we go through a lot of crises, natural disasters, floods, which we have to go and ask for help from them. We have military issues. We go for Israel, we go for US. We ask them to come to help us with their soldiers to go and win those wars. If it were not for them, where would we be right now? Where would we be? The Al-Shabaabs, they will invade us if it were not for them. So I strongly propose the motion that developed countries' influence on Africa policy is making a great dent to African sustainable development. Thank you.
Second speaker, team proposition, you have 3 minutes.
Back again onto the stage, join I, Ali Hamisi, from the Great WAA Boys High School, strongly proposing the motion which states developed countries' influence on Africa's policy making is a great deterrent to Africa's sustainable development. Whatever the first speaker from the opposer side has just said here, it's a lie. Whatever they've said, it's a lie, and I can prove it to you by giving you the truthfulness of this matter. You know, I'm fed up with the environment that the opposers create here by intoxicating our minds with the thought that without us getting developed influence, without us getting influence from the developed countries, is a great deterrent to Africa's sustainable development. What I can tell them is that they have said lies. They are not clean, and for that, here's a toothpaste, so clean up your mess. First, my point. Most ports and mines in Africa are managed by the European countries. This is an evidence. 70% of most ports and mines in Africa are managed by the European countries. A good example, we have the Chinese, who back in 2017, they managed by invading Entebbe in Uganda. The other thing, on to my second point, we have over-dependence on developed countries, which come as a result or as a sort of blackmail. You know, for instance, when an African country, it borrows an aid of money, for example, Kenya, we usually borrow aids of money from the developed countries. A good example is from the USA. We have the Japanese. So what we are made is that Africans are made to pay 4 times the amount of money they've borrowed from the developed countries. And you're trying to convince us that by getting developed influence from the African countries, we are going to evade the sustainable development. That's wrong. On to my other point, decision making. In terms of the decision making, what I can say is that the developed countries, they also give hand or are involved in our decisions in terms of making Africans to face the consequences. We may have a proposition or we might have an idea as a country, but we are subjected to involve foreigners. We are subjected to involve visitors who are not associated or who are not supposed to be involved in our legal matters concerning our country. But because of innovation that we have, it's when we are going to invite them. Lastly, I'd like to say that historical exploitation from the developed countries. From the developed countries, they're influencing the minerals from African countries. We have the tea that they get from Africa, Moso Kenya. We have the coffee, we have the gold that they get it from South Africa. And as a result, after they have mined out the gold, they come and lie to us that we are going to do this and this for you. That's a lie. They're going to take it into their industries, going to manufacture it, and as a result, by then, they're going to return it into our own countries and sell to us at higher prices. With that all saying, successful people look like us, WAA Boys High School, the great Air Force Blue Soldiers. Thank you.
Second speaker, Team Opposition, you have 3 minutes.
I think by soaking up my mess, I need a Kenyan product or an African product, because this thing is made in China. What are we talking about? That these developed countries are not making a deterrent in our African countries. You've just given me a product from China trying to what? Soak up my mess. Please get me an African one. Trust you me, I'll do it better. On my first point, access to global markets. Developed countries' influence can help African countries gain access to global markets, expand their exports, and diversify their economies. This can promote economic growth, reduce dependence on single commodity, and also enhance their resilience against shocks. Right now, we are talking about taking an example of the product that they have given us. Due to the relationship that we are having with USA and China, we are able to export our products up to there. Right now, most of our products, like you said, the tea, the coffee, are out there. Why? Because of the connections that we have with the USA, with the China. If we didn't have that connection with them, if we didn't have the connection with the developed countries that you are claiming that are making a deterrent in our suitable development, we wouldn't be able to advertise our products out there. We wouldn't be able to be proud saying that we Kenyans, we Africans are having our products out there. That's because the global markets are brought to us due to the association with the developed countries. We have my second point, governance and institutional reforms. Developed countries can exert pressure on African developments to improve governance, transparency, and accountability. We saw it since independence in 1963, and it's still going on right now. If there is any form of indiscipline going on in the government, where do people go? We go to Hague. That's because these people help us in sustaining our governance and also our institutional reforms. Statistics, according to Brookings research, say that an example of an African country, Cote d'Ivoire, has registered the greatest improvement in overall governance during the period of 2008 to 2017, which is positive 12.7 points, followed by Morocco, which has positive 7.3 points, and we have Kenya, 6.1 points. What is this showing? That our relationship with the developed countries is helping us in terms of our governance, in terms of our institutional reforms. We are continuing reforming what we are doing right as Africans, as Kenyans, and that is what I stick with, that the developed countries are not making a deterrent in our African countries' sustainable development, but instead they are helping us in many aspects. I rest my case.
Team Proposition, third speaker, you have 3 minutes.
I'm Parwez Hussein from WAA Boys High School, opposing the motion that says developed countries' influence on Africa's policymaking is a great deterrent to Africa's sustainable development. We came with this toothpaste, but the product or the mineral used to make this toothpaste is a fluoride. And as you know, fluoride is being mined in Kenya. But where is this product made from? China, meaning these developed countries are thieves. They steal our minerals, take them to their countries, make products from these minerals, and they come selling them to us. And I would like to ask the audience a question. Do you think Africa is undeveloped? Africa is much developed compared to what you say developed countries. According to Wikipedia, it said that Africa is the richest continent on earth. And I can prove that because, first of all, don't we have roads in Africa? We have roads. The same in developed countries, they have roads. Don't we have schools in Africa? We have schools with better infrastructures compared to what we call compared to what we call developed countries. William Ruto, Cyrus Ramaphosa, Paul Kagame, these are types of leaders trying to come up with an idea of reinstituting Pan-Africanism in order to enable us achieve our sustainable development. But as we look the effects of these developed countries in Africa, number one, if we depend on these particular countries, we will never be able to achieve what we've been looking for. For example, if we keep on relying on the foreign aids that they give us, do you think we'll have that ability to think and come up with ideas of forming things? No, we'll never be able to come up with these ideas. Number two, I would like to ask another question. Is there gold in America? There is no gold. Is there gold in Russia? There is no gold in Russia. Is there oil in Japan and wherever developed countries? There is no such minerals in these particular countries. These countries only they come into our continent, take what is good for them, and they come in the context of helping Africans achieving their sustainable development, which is false. And I would like to tell you that Africa is better on its own. We don't need help from developed countries in order for us to achieve our sustainable developments. Thank you.
Third speaker, team opposition, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, Sane, thank you. Thank you for returning the toothpaste. But then I'll just ask you one question. So I will assume that the fluoride that you claim that was stolen was mined by African hands, isn't it? Not machines that were actually imported. Let's first get facts and not spread rumors. You said there are no gold mines in USA? Oh, Russia, who told you that? You are just basically spreading rumors. We are here to debate on facts. And you are not here focused on winning, but you are here on focusing to educate the public on the proper and the right side to take. So you will not spread rumors just to win a trophy. But I'm here to change that and actually tell you, let's put a stop to that. Education. The saying from Edward Lighton, the pen is mightier than the sword, has always been used, isn't it? But now I'm going to ask the audience one question. Yes, the pen is mightier, but then we also depend on what type of pen we're going to use. Education, as we know, Kenya is ranked 95th in the world in education. But guess what happens with the developed countries? USA, for an example, is ranked 14th. You say that we don't need the help from these developed countries so as to sustain our own, but in reality, we really do. It is saying that countries such as Germany, Japan, Korea have offered various scholarships to African students. In USA, let alone in USA, they had offered 49,780 scholarships to African students alone. And let me tell you, the education, as I've told you from the chart, is 14 compared to 95. Which one is sweeter? Which one is better? And which one will definitely make a greater impact? Our president, Uhuru Kenyatta, himself studied abroad in USA in a college known as Amherst College. Kalonzo did the same thing and studied in a Mediterranean college. What am I trying to imply here? That these presidents and these political leaders who got a foreign education came back to Kenya and improved our development. Uhuru has caused many improvements in our country from the free education that we see. But it is all based on one basis. And what is that? Foreign help. And the foreign help comes in the form of education. The Institute of International Education Open Doors states that there's a higher probability of building more recommendable and sustainable leaders if they study abroad. Because why? We're getting it from the mouth source as education was introduced from the foreign place, which we are all aware in. So it is better to go back to the horse's mouth and talk and get it straight from the source than get it from people who will twist it. And who are twisting, I'm sorry to say this, but our own blood is twisting this. But once we get it from the source and we get it, and it's a sure bet that the 14th position and that the high quality education we are getting is going to be way, and trust me, way sweeter, way benefitable, and definitely a greater impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will be taking closing remarks from both teams. Team proposition, you have 1 minute to give your closing remark.
Wow. The confidence is at the best. The Pearl of Kwale County. But effort of Jaden misses the mark for the following reason. She is telling us that we don't have the machines of mining our minerals. It's true, we don't have them. So, if the developed countries are coming in our continent and mining with their machines, how will we get our machines? That's why we're telling that the influence from there is the deterrent for us achieving the development goals. She's telling us that the former president of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, brought fair education. When? Why? Why are we still paying fees? And before, we were also paying fees. I don't see free education in Kenya because I'm paying fees. In our school per term, we are paying 37K, and you're telling us there's free education in Kenya. Surely, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, just adjust the approximate length of your thinking capacity. You will find that the influence from developed countries is a deterrent for Africans achieving their development goals.
Team opposition, you have 1 minute to give your closing remark.
Well. You know, my maths teacher keeps on saying that he hates people masquerading around and spreading academic rumors. I'm pretty sure if he was here, he would have told you that it was just spreading rumors around this room. Don't you feel like goosebumps all over your body? Like just saying that my fellow opposer said our president got free primary education. She didn't state that he did not get the education free from primary to the university. 2, right now we are speaking about these people. There's a question asked that how is it that we can do without the machines? How about, has Africa ever tried making the machines so that we can see the kind of improvement they can make, where our minds can take us, but we can't? That is why we still rely on the developed countries to bring machines so that we can import them and take them out there so that we can become proud Africans exporting products out there. So I would like you to cross over because it's over, and we all know it's over. Thank you.
All right, let's appreciate the finalists one more time with a round of applause. Let me start by saying this. I appreciate the level of debate that you guys have brought forth, and I look forward to whoever is going to make it to the nationals. But there's a lot of work if you're going to go and meet those people. And I want to point out a few things for you. First of all, the motion has a lot of things you could pick in terms of your research. That developed countries' influence on Africa's policy making is a great deterrent to Africa's sustainable development. And I want to appreciate, I had some statements come forth from some people which were really good, but I was really praying, could you authenticate them, because that's what the essence of debate is. First of all, you are all great speakers. So in terms of speaking skills, amazing scores there, you know. the boldness, the confidence. You took the stage. Nobody was afraid of the stage. That means you guys are great finalists. And so a lot of it is more on the coherency and on your mastery of topic. Let me start with who? Let me start with the gentleman. And just looking through some of your comments that you gave in, WAA boys, Harun. Harun comes first, of course, elaborates the motion. Both sides elaborated well. But now, Harun, you say that in the UK, diplomats have interests in Kenya and they have huge tracts of land. So how has this influenced policy? You give a bit of examples and say that we earn 40% of tea and coffee. According to who? I don't know. I even tried to research and see. So you had great facts, but I couldn't tell where they're coming from. You get it? So it is important to always say that according to this and this, or this trade place or everything else, Kenyans or Africans only get 40% of their value. So don't be a person who just speaks on the surface. Yes, we can see them importing things out, but you still have some local. But what percentage is it? At the finals, sometimes we have to be very, very keen on things that we are saying. So fair reasoning, so no factual claims from your end. Ali Hamisi comes in and brings in the toothpaste. Oh my goodness, the toothpaste. It has suffered. Then you bring in some very good points. For example, you came in, brought in, and I could tell the first time, I mean, this toothpaste, you almost wasted some time on the toothpaste, but now towards half your time, you started bringing in great submissions. Overdependence on developed countries, you brought in that example. Africans are made to pay 4 times more. However, these are great facts, great submissions, no sources. Do we know where sources have been said before? Yes. So it was important for you to say that. So don't look as if you're just giving assumptions like everybody knows, because in debate we have to always authenticate our sources. Hussein comes as well. And I think I want to tell you, Hussein, you can throw the toothpaste better so that it doesn't have to hit the girls. Then you say that fluoride only comes from Kenya. And I thought, okay, that's not true. All right? So you don't want to just say statements that will be hit hard. Reliance on foreign aid was a good point that you brought in. You also brought in the element that you have had, there were some 2 lies that you brought in. You say there's no gold in the US, that's a lie. You say there's no oil in Japan, that's a lie. And I was like, oh my, what's happening here? Now, Matuga girls, good definitions, yes. Now you start off by giving us as well facts here, saying that, listen, we need these guys. And you give some statements like vaccines, very good point. Then you said masks came from the US. Is that a fact? That's a lie. We needed to get facts and authenticate them. All right? Yes, we had many other sources that came. In fact, we had donations from all over. So when you're saying here that they are only coming from one place, now that's a question. Then you said, this example was a bit weak. You said that there was a sunken car. Remember that story? We know that story. And then you said this, that we needed the US to come and help us, Israelites, I think, to come and help us. So how's that sustainable development? You understand? Trying to connect everything to the motion, all right? So it's an example of how we can be interdependent. We're talking about policy. We're talking about certain things. There are certain things that could not qualify as policies, all right? Are we together? Maybe you can say agreements in terms of rescue, whatever, if at all they exist, but you didn't tell us that. Rita, I think, Rita, you came out so strong this time around, and I appreciate you for that. Good cross-examination. You brought in some elements, and I like the fact that at least you're the first one who at least cited some of your sources. You gave elements of access to global markets, improving on governance and accountability, and good citation. So well done on that. However, your ending, compared to the boys, was weak. Jaden, right? Jadine, sorry. Yes, Jadine. Good cross-examination in terms of what you spoke about when you started. Then you brought in the element of education and scholarships. There was something that was peddling around the president and where he went to school, whether it was free education and the likes. I almost felt like you guys were about to trade some very weak grounds, but overall good. I've seen you better before, so I said good this time round. This was so close, and I can't wait to hear the results. All the best.